You are listening to Chat and Chill Podcast with Erica Kelling. I'm on a mission to help people reconnect with who they are. On today's very first podcast, I have two beautiful ladies that are here to talk all about their experiences with attachment and detachment, and how they also use these tools in their lives to become more conscious to their truth about life and relationships. So before we get started, let's take some time to get to know our guests before we dive into our topic.
Hello.
Adrian and Maria.
Hello.
All right, so let's do some introductions. Adrian, what you got, girl? Introduce us to yourself.
Hello. I am Adrian, and I am an active, conscious creator of my life. I make the decision to be aligned. I know that I use my unique perspective, my present moment power, and positivity to accomplish connection, freedom, love, and growth. And in doing so, I am living my balanced and my authentic life. I am Adrian. I am a vibration of energy. I am also a wife, a friend, a daughter, and I am a mother. And thank you so much for having me here.
She is real, y'all. She's real. All right, Maria, what you got, girl?
I'm Maria. I am a seeker of truth, adventure, spirituality. I'm a mama to two beautiful kids. I'm a wifey. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a business owner with my family.
She's a bad bitch, girl. She's a bad bitch.
The tamale store, shout out.
Yes, get you some tamales, please.
And I'm just a seeker of all things powerful, supernatural, phenomenal, and I'm here to share that with the world.
Yeah, so Adrian and Maria and I had a breakfast not too long ago, and it's been a while since we had caught up, but we always talk about this. So during our breakfast, we started talking about attachments. And I think the question that had come out was, Maria, what are you learning about yourself right now? And she started talking about her attachments. And I was like, we started having this beautiful conversation with mimosas, which Chat and Chill time. We definitely have our champagne. But that's what kind of started this. So I said, oh my goodness, will you guys be my first guests on my very first podcast? So that's how this all essentially has come to be. And so today we're going to talk about how do we utilize attachment and detachment, and how does it work in our lives? Because I love having these conversations with both of you, because we all do it differently, but we are also getting to the same point and growing at different rates. And then as we come together, it's just awesome to be able to share that with each other. So this is like my favorite thing ever, just because we are constantly, as we're moving through our journeys of life with our being these spirits in this human form, we're constantly attaching and detaching. So what I want to know a little bit more is, what do you guys consider, like, what does attachment mean to you, first of all? Adrian, if you want to, and we'll just kind of rotate back and forth and just chime in as we just keep going. So
Sounds good. Yeah, attachment to me is really a connection point with someone or energy, essentially, that can have a control over you. Like there is a level of control, and in that control, there's reactions that can happen. And being attached, whether it's emotionally or energetically wise, sometimes it's willingly attached and willingly go with the flow, which I think I'm pretty good at. But there are some instances where that attachment, it's going upstream, and you feel it, like there's an attachment to this because I feel like I'm being pulled in a direction that I don't want to go. And
resistance.
Yeah, that resistance. And so that's kind of what attachment is to me. It's that kind of control that is not my coming from me. It's the outer beings, whether it's a relationship or a vibe. But yeah. How about you, Maria?
Yeah. To me, it has many different faces, I believe. We can see attachment as codependency, addictions, fears, triggers, anger. You can be attached to an outcome, the past, the future, the present. Can hold you back. or it can heal you. But there's just so many different forms of attachment, and it's what you choose to label it as. But there's healing in every part of it, and there's growth behind it. So when you recognize it, that's when the growth is happening.
The awareness.
The awareness.
The awareness
Yes.
of the attachment.
Yes, and that's when you're ready to move forward. When you know you're attached. When you know, okay, that's where I'm at. I need to grow. I need to learn.
Love it. Okay, so quick question then on attachment, because I know that when I'm attaching to different things, like sometimes I think it's the judgment within myself that says, okay, I'm attached. Why is this happening to me again?
Right.
Like, what are my patterns? Like, why do I keep living this same pattern? I felt like I already dealt with this, you know? So I'm constantly like, there's a judgment that I place on the attachment. So I guess my question would be, how are you guys attaching to certain things, and like, are you allowing them to be, or do you kind of feel the same? Like, do you know what I'm talking about? Like, whenever you're judging yourself because this is happening again in my life, or this is it just doesn't feel good when I'm aware of my attachment. So then that's when I tend to spiral, is because then I'm like, okay, I've attached to this, something is here, I know that I'm learning it, but as I'm in this like gook of the learning phase, I'm like not myself. I'm just like, I don't know. I'm just like not the Erica, not the energetic person, which I don't have to be all the time. But at the same time, like, how do you guys find yourself being aware of it and then being okay with the awareness as you're moving through it?
I think it takes a lot of work to be fully aware when you're in it, because a lot of times people are in an attached mode and they don't see themselves. They see themselves more as a victim mode, or this is happening to me. He's doing this to me. You know what I mean? So to get to that awareness mode takes a lot of healing on your end. You know what I mean?
No, that's right. I mean, that is the healing. That's the healing part of it. Now, I did put some definitions here that I got from Wikipedia, just so our audience team can understand. Attach to something, when we look at Webster's dictionary, is to bind or to bring oneself in association with, or to join or to fasten to. So it makes sense that when we attach to things, we're constantly attaching and detaching. But why do you think we attach to certain things? Adrian, when you find yourself attached to something, why do you think there's attachments?
I think it comes from a place of good intentions, and it can be subconscious in some ways, but I think it can be very blinding, and it comes with good intentions. Like, I'm not attaching to something that I know is a piece of shit. It's like I'm attaching to it because I believe there's something with that attachment that is helping me, or I want to have fun, or I want to, go along with the ride. And it's only until that awareness piece kicks in, which doesn't always come easy, doesn't always come instantly, but it's only that awareness piece where you even realize it's attachment. And so it can be very deceiving in some ways, because you are living a life, and you're doing it, with free will that you think you have. And
exactly, that you think you have. Keyword, ding, ding.
Or you're comfortable in that state of attachment because that's your comfort zone.
Yeah, it's like the brain patterns are established, and
you don't know. It's scary getting out of it. It's scary leaving the relationship. It's scary, leaving that job that you're attached to, or those fears or those traumas. It's scary.
Yeah.
Because then you have to really work on yourself.
The unknown.
The unknown is scary.
The unknown is where we move into that field of your walls go up, because you're right. Like, as long as we're comfortable doing it, we're going to constantly continue to do the same thing, continue the same patterns. The moment that you break that pattern of attachment, or you decide to detach from it, which we'll get into detachment here in a little bit, but when you decide to detach from something, that fear of FOMO, for me, I would say, of like, okay, I don't have this anymore. But what I've learned about attaching and detaching for me is that the moment I let it go, if I am attached to control and I let it go, I have more control. And it's interesting to know that, like, when I let go of something, it is the I have more of it once I let it go. It's just the fear of moving through it to let it go.
And that fear can be debilitating, like
Yeah.
debilitating.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
It'll stop you.
It can't. Yeah, it does. It has. I'm, definitely have seen myself do that before, and
Yeah.
it's okay. You have to be okay with and know
That's
that.
part of growth.
Yeah.
It's part of learning.
The fear. Yeah. Pushing through the fear. One thing that you said, Adrian, too, is you're not conscious of it. And one of the things that I wrote down as I was kind of learning more about my attachments and detachments here is I wrote down subconscious attachment and also conscious attachment, because there are so many subconscious attachments that we don't even know. Like the attachments that we have are literally our roots. They are our core values that maybe we don't even know about, that we learned from our parents, or we learned about from our culture
Early
or our
on.
family.
Yeah.
And they're there. And these are our principles that we live by.
Right.
And finally we get to a point where we're like, why do I think that this is something that I must do or have to do? Or why do I feel like I am obligated to this type of thing? And for me, I come from a Hispanic family, so I'm very into, like, we're very connected. So there's a lot of subconscious programming that I have that I feel obligated in so many different positions.
Cultural attachments.
They're crazy. And so the more that I look at them, and it's just helping me develop more of my I'm learning how to connect with others in such a great way because of my attachments that my family has taught me. But at the same time, there's some of them that are limiting me now to this point. So there's the beliefs that I have and have had in the past, but now all beliefs eventually become limited. And so once you decide and you figure out what that belief is, then you can create something new. So that's been an interesting.
So I have a question for you. With that process, did it feel like a light switch, or was it a kind of a journey?
I'm still finding all kinds of nuggets. So it's always a light switch when I'm like, aha, here's the reason why. Like, one of my biggest things I will share is that family is everything. And I think that is culturally, like, yes, I will do anything for my family. Like, we have drama, we have traumas, but we are always there no matter what. And that is something that my family connects with. At the same time, it's like, well, family is everything. So if that is my true core value that it used to be, then like, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean to me now? Like, I have my own family now. And plus I have my, my family that I grew up with, and my brothers and my sisters. Plus I have another family with my girlfriends and my friends. And I have a community.
The definition of family.
So yeah. So it's like the role that family, or the structure that I have built from the family is everything, is tremendous for the growth that I want for my business, because that is how I want community. And community is structured off of my concept of family, but I've had to evolve that. And I think that was the hardest thing, because for me, family was just like exclusive. It's an exclusive pod. But now as I'm venturing out of the exclusive, like, I'm branching out to community. Like, a family has turned into community, and it's like, we don't have to be DNA. We don't have to be this. Like, it's now everyone who feels this vibe is welcome. Everyone is here. So it is all family. So that has worked for me. But to answer your question, they're all ahas for me. Aha. Why do I feel exclusive? Why does this feel, why am I not allowing more? Why am I not expanding it out? Or why is, so it's just looking at the principles of attachments that I've developed at a young age unconsciously, but now they're becoming conscious. So it's not like I don't have to, like, uproot and get rid of it. I'm just evolving the idea of what I already know to be true.
Yeah.
When you make that conscious decision that I'm going to be on a path of healing and awareness, the ahas just keep flowing, and you just keep healing and opening yourself up to more and more. So it's beautiful.
And so this is interesting too, that I want to get your take on. So as you're learning about yourself and you're learning about your attachments, tell me about the coolest thing when it comes to, like, watching other people do it as well. Because as you learn more about yourself, you have more self-awareness, you see it in other people. And so you start realizing that, like, they're having their own self-awarenesses, but at the same time, like, when they're projecting on me, when they're, like, using me as their mirror, like, I've had to learn to detach from their attachments, because it's not healthy for me sometimes to take on their pain, take on their suffering, to take on, like, their stuff. So how are you guys seeing that with even people around you? Or like, are you, can you observe other people's attachments now that you observe yours?
Absolutely. Yeah, I see that with my family daily. There's definitely a lot of karmic attachments and trauma attachments from childhood, and it keeps coming up as adults. And they're carrying this load and baggage of pain that they can't let go of. And it affects their daily lives. It affects, you know, their decisions. And I can see that. And when they mirror it on me, or they, you know, throw it on me, or whatever, you know, however they send it off to me, I can tell it's coming from a place of pain and wanting to let go and surrender it, but they're still holding on tight. You know, so I'm just in a place of awareness, and I let it soak in, but I know it's not mine to keep. I know it's not mine to hold. So just being aware and present and being there for them and not getting triggered or angry, you know, is my response. Just sending them love.
The moment you take it personal is the moment you're
Exactly.
taking it on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then it
And I've
becomes
learned
yours.
that through my awareness and growth, that I can't take it on.
Yeah.
Because that's another form of attachment for myself that I don't need.
Yeah. That's, I think that's the hardest part when you're connecting with people, because we're all doing it to each other. And so when we feel fear from somebody else because of their projection, or we feel defensive, or we feel there's like, it's you're wanting to fight for your understanding, and like, no, I didn't mean that. Like, this is not, you know, when you take it personal and decide to like fight for your right to be understood, then you're in the mix, and
Right.
you essentially
You're
are
taking it on yourself.
you're taking it on. So
Yeah.
Adrienne, how would you, I mean, I know that you, like, with your conflicts that you've been involved with and attaching and detaching, how do you know when it's your shit and when it's their shit?
So I think for me, maybe when I was younger, I definitely could fall victim to the drama of someone else's attachments and projections onto me. I think somewhere in my 20s, I really developed a perspective that, and I didn't know what to call it, but ultimately it's detachment, where I did not go into the drama. I think high school, certainly so. We're young, you know, when my best friend is getting bullied, like, oh, we're all backing her up,
Right.
you know, like someone talked shit to her, you know, they talked shit to all of us. So you get involved. But somewhere in my 20s, I stopped getting involved with my community, my family's baggage. And not that I didn't recognize that it's like sad. And I think I'm an empathetic person in the sense I can like watch someone go through their attachments. But in my perspective, it just makes me feel sad for them. Like I just feel that they're in pain. And maybe that didn't mature more until my 30s, but it was around my 20s, I think, when my parents got divorced, where I literally had no control. And
that's what it was. That's interesting. I've always wondered why you were so good at detaching, because you're like,
well,
that's your superpower.
It's matured for sure through my 30s, but I think it started off in my 20s. Like when you have your two champions in your life come to you and say, we are divorced. Done deal. And you're like, excuse me, we have drama to fix here. What do you mean you're not divorced? We're a family.
Family.
And it was done. I didn't have control. And I think that was like a very first hard set example where I was not part of the drama. I was not involved in their relationship, and you know, they're now, you know, living the best lives they've ever had, and I'm so proud of both of them. But yeah, so it's, I look at it now when I see attachment scenarios play out with my friends or family or community. I kind of feel bad. I feel sad in those moments, but I don't know. I know I don't have any control over any of it. So I'm very like.
So you don't even take on.
I don't.
Yeah,
I really
that's so
don't.
Powerful. That's so
I
powerful.
mean, I'm there.
So now with detachment, then, because I definitely want the audience to know, like, what is your definition of detachment? Because out of any friends that I have, and I always tell you this is like, you are so good at detaching. Like I'll detach from something, but then I like spiral. Like I'll have like a spiraling, or before I even fully detach,
There's still feelings.
I gotta figure it out. Why am I feeling what I'm feeling? What is this going on? Like I'm analyzing to the point where I'm just like, I put myself to bed because I'm like, just go to sleep. It'll be fine tomorrow. But like you are such a good detacher of, you can just move forward and move on, and it just like nothing seems to bother you as much. So what would you say your definition? We'll kind of talk about what does detachment.
Okay.
We'll move into detachment now.
Yeah, the definition of detachment to me, I think it's very personal to everybody. It is that conscious decision to know that you have control of your response, and you cannot control what other people think, what other people do, what other people feel, how other people should go about something. Like I am not the
They're
expert.
projecting their shit on you.
Exactly. I'm not
You're
the
so good at
expert
that.
in their life. And I don't think I learned this overnight. To me, it wasn't an aha moment. It definitely was a growth. And certainly, the friends I developed and the foundation I have, helped me reflect on that. Like you being a mirror, like helping me find words to these thoughts and how I respond. And so it's been a beautiful journey, and I'm proud to stand as like a good detacher in some scenarios, right? Detachment's not always good.
We're human. We're meant to be attached.
Yeah, that's how we connect, is by attaching to each other. So if everyone just keeps detaching, we're gonna lose.
I know. Why are we here if we're all detached?
That's the pandemic, right? Is
Right.
the lack of connection that we have right now. So I think the biggest movement going on is reconnecting with each other and understanding. If you can understand attachment and detachment and not having to attach to the people, you can still love people like you do and be detached from them.
Right. Not
at the
take
same
on
time.
their shit.
Love is never an issue.
Ever.
Love is never an issue.
Yeah. Yeah. Maria, detachment. What you got? What
That's a big one for me. Because for a long time I was the fixer in my family, the one that made it all better. I took on all of my family's attachments and pains and sufferings, and that's who I was. I was the fixer. I fixed my family. I tried to help them heal. I tried to change them. I mean, not necessarily change them, but just show them their power, who they were. And I think they were my teachers because they taught me to surrender that and let go, because I can't change anyone.
Because nobody's broken.
Nobody's broken. It's not my job to fix anybody. So I pulled away and I kind of just let it flow and let go of all of their traumas and everything they carried. And I always knew it wasn't mine, but for some reason I always felt like I had to help them. And something happened in my 30s where I was just like, this isn't mine to carry anymore. This isn't my baggage. This isn't my pain. And I just let go, and I've been incredibly detached. And sometimes it's a little too much for me. Like, I'm like, why am I so detached? Do I have feeling? Like, what's going on? You know what I mean?
I'm floating away. Like, it's not that I don't care, but I'm just like.
Exactly. Like, I see all this
there's-
around me, and I feel like I'm like the eye of the tornado, or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And I just see all of this going on around me, all this pain and suffering, and I'm just like in the center, and I'm so detached from it. And it was definitely an experience I went through that changed my whole trajectory of life, that I thank God every day for, because that showed me my true power, my true potential. And since that moment, I've realized like the only one I can change is myself. The only one that I have control of is myself. And in doing that, I've been an example to my family. And
Hell yeah.
yeah, and I've shown them like, you can't change others, but you can change yourself. You can change the way your outlook is on life. You can change the way you perceive your projections, your everything on life. And if you change that, your path to healing is even more incredible. When you let go of all of that pain that is no longer yours to carry, you learn from it and you let go and you grow. And that was just huge for me. And that created this state of detachment, which is beautiful, because I feel like I don't carry any more of that shit.
Yes, no, but you can still be there in love.
I can be there. I can love. I can guide. I can help, but it's not mine anymore.
So I will read the Webster's dictionary. Detach here means to separate, to disengage or withdraw, or having little or no emotion towards something.
Yep.
Which is interesting because detachment, like Adrian, you were saying, can be catabolic or it can be anabolic. Because now the awareness is okay, yes, so we all attach and detach, but are we detaching because it's a fear? And so now it's becoming a defense mechanism and we're pushing it away and we're disengaging because we don't want to look at it.
Right.
Or have we done the work and it is the detachment becomes an unattachment, which unattachment to me means that is essentially you're mastering detachment because you're unattached from the emotion, but you can still have that engagement. You can still have that connection with someone and still be detached from them, which is unattachment. If you're detached from someone because you're fearful or because it's your own insecurity that you don't want to look at, that's, I feel like, where we start suppressing. I feel like that's when the emotion does come up to look at it. That's where I think a lot of humans, and especially clients that I work with and people that I do talk to, that's the part that as an awareness coach, that's where I'm bringing them to, is like, that's the emotion. The emotion, you can label the emotion as catabolic and anabolic and leave it there. If it feels good, look at it. If it doesn't feel good, let's look at that too. But if you're looking at it and if you get to the point where you're not even looking at it and you're essentially just suppressing it or disengaging, or like, that's the awareness I think that a lot of us are moving towards, because I find myself too, when an emotion comes up, if I'm just like quickly to just push it aside, that's my cue of being like, why am I pushing this aside? I felt something. My body is giving me this signal. What am I doing with it? Am I disengaging from it because I'm unattached, or am I disengaging from it because I'm triggering? And it's a fear that a subconscious fear, an unconscious fear that is there, an unconscious programming that is there for me to look at. So, and I know, Adrian, you have this, like, the detachment. I want to know more about, like, whenever are you becoming more aware of when you're detaching because you're fearful at this stage in your life, since you're such a master detacher? Like, because you are, like, how are you balancing the two and understanding or becoming aware of, like, oh, I'm disengaging because I don't even want to look at it, or I'm disengaging because, like,
because I'm happy and
because I
I
want to feel happy.
Yeah.
So therefore,
it's a combination of both. Some parts of that can be very subconscious for me. In the sense where I may quickly think about it, but not necessarily give it the words. It's more of that feeling, and it really is a combination of all of that to me. And I don't necessarily think that I've processed, every bit of my detachments. I'm certain I haven't. I think there's some big ones that I have.
You're gonna have them. You're always gonna attach and detach.
I think one good example of where I believe I really did take the time to do the work was with the miscarriages. And even though, like, it very, very, just raw and heavy, and you just stick to finding that better feeling. And it wasn't in a way where I wasn't looking at the situation that was happening around me. It was in a way of where I know I don't feel comfortable being miserable. So I know I'm finding those happy levels and shooting for those happy moments. But it didn't take away from the fact that I did look at how painful and shitty and tough and just heavy and raw and all those things. But you just keep, doing the work and just say, you know what? I don't want to feel shitty and heavy and raw and just in a blur. I want to feel happy. Well, what makes me happy? Maybe it's not thinking about this topic. Maybe it is. I don't know. Like, maybe I'm thinking about my future baby, or maybe it's, thinking about nothing and none of that and just listening to music and zoning out. So, But then there's other little detachments that I know I can have during my day where I probably don't do a very good job looking at it, with relationship to our children and, taking their waves. Um, so it's all of it. All of it's good stuff.
Always.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Always part of the growth. And a lot of
Yeah.
things too I think one of my biggest things is like the attachment to something. What I've learned, and I've asked this question about my patterns. My pattern, I'm very curious what your guys' is. If you think about that, my pattern has always been conflict, and it's mostly coming from the toxic masculine. So I have a lot of brothers.
Yep.
I have, I grew up in like the masculine environment. I have no sisters. It's always just been like this masculine environment. So a lot of my patterns come to me from reflections from my husband, my cousins, any man that's in my life. There seems to be this like pattern of reflection of a control, manipulation,
Yeah.
some type of conflict. So that always comes up for me. What I've learned about my attachments from that recently too, which has been very helpful for me, is that I will stay attached to this topic because there's still something that I'm learning from it.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's
That's
coming from,
conscious.
yes.
Yeah.
And now as I just got chills down my spine when I said that. So now as I attach or I feel what I'm feeling and someone's reflecting that to me, I now find myself as being more of the observer of it rather than being in it. And so as I'm the observer of it, I'm able to see the attachment for what it is and be appreciative for the attachment versus being like, oh, I'm here again and here's my judgment. And why am I dealing with this again? I thought I dealt with it and I healed it. I thought I was healed from this
Yeah.
bullshit, but I'm still feel the control and the manipulation or whatever it is that's still coming from childhood shit. But at the same time, now my perspective is that when I find myself attached to something, it's because I'm still finding clarity. So the
Yeah.
more clarity that I'm trying to get, I haven't finished getting more clarity. I'm still having those repetitive patterns and I'm still getting more clarity out of them to evolve from them so that I can have a podcast and talk about it. And hopefully people can learn from it. So I'm curious, what are you finding about your patterns right now? Like what would you say your patterns are, Maria? That keep being reflected back to you?
Definitely the masculine energy also for me. That was a pattern that was programmed into me when I was little to feel sorry for my father, to feel sorry for him when he would mess up. So it formed into an attachment of like, he would screw up, he would do this, he would do that, and I would feel sorry for him because he would put us through that pain of like, I'm so sorry I messed up. He would cry,
Forgive me.
suicidal tendencies, forgive me, please, the anxiety. So I realized that I had this pattern of when a male in my life would mess up, I would immediately want help, or I would immediately want to be like, okay, how can we fix this? What's wrong? Instead of stepping back and saying, no, you fucked up. What's happening here? Let's look at it. Let's see what you did, But it was always like a triggered like feeling of like sadness for me, okay, I feel sorry for you. How can we help? So I started realizing that wasn't, and I would think, okay, maybe I'm just a really forgiving person. Maybe I'm just a very sensitive person. And then as I became an adult, I realized, no, that's manipulation. That's what that word is, manipulation. So I was definitely attached to the outcome of helping, fixing, healing somebody that was just manipulating me. And I realized that pattern at an early age, and I started getting myself out of it and realizing I'm no longer giving my power to this person. I'm taking back my power, and that helped me heal tremendously. And I see myself doing that sometimes still when there's, a male figure in my life who screws up or does something. And then my first instinct is to feel sorry for that person. But then I step back and I say, okay, hold on.
That's your red flag to look at it.
Yes, it's always my red flag to step back and say, okay, is it me or is it the person? What am I projecting? What are they projecting? What am I not seeing? And that's where the healing process starts. And I see like what's my connection to this person? What's my attachment to this person? And what do I need to heal? And when I do that, I realize that the relationship either goes away and I stop talking to that person, or it gets better in a new way. You know what I mean? So when I do the internal healing, the outer world changes. My perception of life is completely different when I do the inner work.
Yes.
So when you recognize the pattern, that's when you can heal. And that was big for me.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
Yeah, because you're absolutely right. It's the work on the inside that reflects everything
On the
that
outside.
is on the outside is reflecting everything that is on your inside.
Absolutely.
So if you're living a world of chaos and
Turmoil
fear,
and
it's going on around you,
Yep.
that's a self-awareness that you probably should look at on the inside.
Right.
Say, what's happening in here that's reflecting, why am I perceiving my reality to be the way that it is?
Right.
That's a huge topic. I love that you brought that up. Adrienne, what about you? What are patterns that you feel like keep coming around that you're just getting more nuggets from?
Well, you tell me, is it, remind me again, what's wounded feminine? Because I believe my patterns are around that, where it's that sense of like, I want to be supportive and be that matriarch, and, you know, it's all comes to, you know, to me, the mother. You know, is that wounded feminine, or
like wounded feminine be more like, so toxic masculine is like the greed, control, manipulation, but wounded feminine can also be in the same aspects where it's coming from your feminine energy. It's also your feminine energy of, and Maria, I know you like chime in on this too. Wounded feminine of just being like victim mode, or really utilizing that martyring, using your femininity,
to victimize yourself.
To victimize yourself.
Much. Yeah.
Well, and that is something that I have learned about through this ELI session, that it's a
energy
test.
leadership index. We'll talk about that as well.
It's awesome. I learned that I have that level 1 victimhood. And so it is, I guess, described as wounded feminine. And it probably comes from someone really close to me who I love so much. And just,
always does.
you know, being around, growing up with this awesome person in my life. And you know, I take on some of those characteristics where it's like, oh, it's out of my control. You know,
The world's against me.
I just need to sit back and they'll do what they do. And that can kind of be disguised as detachment, but really it's not, you know? And so I believe that is a pattern in my life where that is where I go to in order to bounce out of it. You know, that's could be considered a coping mechanism. But it's that pattern of just kind of shelling down, shelling in, and, you know, reflecting that I can't control other people, but in the same time, I'm taking that more victim stance and not. I'm tied to it. I'm in control. I'm attached, essentially. And recognizing those moments and trying to snap out of it.
Yeah.
And the best way to snap out of it is to become aware of it.
Yes.
Right? Like that's like, it's not snapping out of it. It's mostly like, aha.
Well, and when you feel resistance to it, you know you have to work on it, you know? Because when you feel love, you're like, okay, I let go, I healed, that feels great, that feels good. But when there's resistance, fear, and you're blocking it, that's when you have to really look at it.
And I think that's that is where, you know, there's a lot of conversations like spirituality, or there's a lot of conversations mind, body, spirit, right? Like your emotional guidance system is your body telling you there is something here. And so as we start becoming more educated in our emotional health and our spiritual health, I think it's important to understand that emotional guidance system is a messenger.
Yeah.
Anytime your body is telling you something, like for me, I just recently quit drinking coffee. I quit.
What?
I quit drinking. This has only been like the last 3 days. So
No way.
Just
You
to,
do. 1 year.
1 year.
Who
Okay, so
are you
I
guys?
consciously. I know. Okay, so let me explain and I really want to hear yours too, because I just came down this path of like
coffee.
the things that I'm putting in my body. Like, why do I need this stimulant? And it was an awareness of like, I was just waking up, you know, that was part of my routine. I was wake up in the morning, we all do this. Get our cup of coffee. I
Good.
start my day. And so I stopped doing that in the last 3 days, and I've been in super observant mode for myself. And so it's like my body doesn't need the stimulant because my body produces its own energy. So I feel like the more that I'm putting in my body to like subconsciously, I don't know what it is to, you drink coffee and you're supposed to, then it wakes you up. And it has been doing that. Like coffee wakes me up, but what does my body feel like without coffee? And so it's been super interesting because I'm still maintaining my energy. I don't need it. I definitely have understood that I don't need coffee. It's just a subconscious pattern. It's just something that I do and I've always done. But to not do it has been interesting because I don't, my body doesn't need it. And that helps me. I think the biggest point of it, that helps me have that relationship with my body so that when it is communicating with me, I know that it's not because I'm on a coffee, like anxiety, like I'm not, it's not because of coffee. It's not because of that. It's just because my body's communicating with me. So that's helping me create more of a connection with feeling what's in my body and feeling and understanding. And I think one of my biggest things is detaching from emotions has been another one of my big ones, because when I get an emotion, when my body gives me an emotion, which is simply coming from a thought that I was thinking, my body's reacting to what the thought is. It's now understanding that emotions are there. They're either catabolic or anabolic.
Yeah.
And I think in the past, when an emotion came up, I'm like, oh my gosh, is that fear? Is that anxiety? Is that stress? Is that like, there's so many different flavors of emotions that we can perceive something to be, that like when you take a step back and you label it as catabolic or anabolic,
it's just more.
It either feels
easy.
good or it doesn't feel good. It's either draining or it's uplifting.
Yeah.
And so if you can stick within, okay, it's uplifting, I'm going to stay here. If it's draining, okay, why am I in catabolic energy right now? Like what am I thinking right now about my environment that is making in my body, having that relationship with my body? It's like I'm literally connecting with myself to be like, you tell me when I'm perceiving something, because I don't know my thoughts that are coming through 100% of the time until my body tells me, hey, that was let's take a look at that, or take a right, take a left. So
That's wild.
But I'm curious about I want to hear about your coffee. Like what was
Yeah,
yours?
it was hard.
Why?
Because we love coffee, right? We're addicted. We love it. And I convinced myself, like, I love it. I don't need to let it go. It's
good.
fine. It's good. I'm fine with it. But then when I got diagnosed with endometriosis and I had my hysterectomy, I started being more aware of my body, what it was saying to me. And I was still drinking caffeine. And for some reason, something was telling me the caffeine's making it worse. It's making my inflammation worse. It's making my body, I'm not able to communicate with my body with this caffeine. So I decided to just cold turkey, just stop drinking it and to see what happens. And it was really hard. I would get headaches, I felt dizzy, terrible. But then after a while, it just felt like this incredible relief of like, oh my gosh, my body doesn't need it. I never needed it to begin with. It was a really good habit or routine that I would pour myself a cup in the morning, get ready. It's just fun, having your cup of coffee. It's part of routine.
It tastes really
that
good.
you convince yourself that it's okay to have it. It's a treat in the morning, but it was doing so much harm to my body. And I listened, and it's just been so incredible for me to stop drinking it. It helped me with my pain, inflammation. I mean, it's been 1 year and I haven't missed it at all.
Oh, I was just gonna ask
it's
you.
been incredible. I
Have
haven't
you gone
missed
back?
it. Not even once. Nope. And it was just me listening to that little voice saying, let's try this. Let's just see what happens. And I was open to it, because at first I was like, no, that's not going to work, whatever. But I listened, and I was open, and I did it, and it was amazing. And I'm not going back.
What is my dependency on this? Why am I doing it? That's
and it was
looking
just a
at your
habit. It's not
subconscious-
like I needed it. My body didn't require it. I didn't need it. It was just something that was nice in the morning, and I'm like, this is harming me.
My body's telling me.
Yeah.
And now I'm hearing this too.
So
I did try to
dropped it.
I did work with wine and weed a couple of times where I'm like, okay, I just want to take a break. Like, I just want to not drink or not smoke or like, not like, I want to feel like I am not needing something.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
is what it was. So I've taken breaks from those, and then I've slowly approached myself back in. Of course, I'm drinking champagne right now, but I think that's great to take a step back and have that relationship with your body. And I'm in the world of healthcare. I work for one of the largest distributors for pharmaceuticals. So I think a lot of times too, if we are not having that connection with our body, which I think a lot of pharmaceuticals, if you need it, that's great. Western medicine, I love it. We can integrate it with all the other things that we have. But at the same time, if we are not connecting with our bodies are a big part of the triangle, mind, body, and spirit. So if we're numbing them because we don't want to feel the pain, I feel like that's an awareness. Like, don't numb the pain, look at the pain. I think that is something that I think we just keep doing. We keep trying to figure out these surface level, trying to fix the surface level problems, and we're not getting to the roots. We're not getting to those attachments
We're
that we
numbing
all
ourselves.
have. We're numbing it. And when our body is communicating with us, we don't know if it's our mind. We don't know if it's like
it's confused.
We don't understand our own thoughts. We don't understand what our body is there to tell us what it is. So if you don't have that connection with your body, which I think a lot of people have a problem with, then how are you being guided? Like, how do you know when to go right, when to go left? Like, your body is the part, like, it is your vessel. This is like, I always tell my son, it's your only body that you have, so you got to take care of it. You get to decide. He's 5 years old. You get to decide what you put in your body. He wants candy all the time. Well, okay, let's take a look at that. If you want to put that in your body, well, then you be responsible. Is that what you want? It's your only body, so you take care of it. And that has helped him, push away a little bit more, like take the responsibility to make sure that he's feeding and taking responsibility for his own body, because he needs to connect with it and understand that in his own way.
And that's a form of like conscious attachment too, like with your body. But I will say, there are people also out there who have that attachment to their body in a more destructive way, where it's, it's little this, little that, little pain here, little pain there. And it just doesn't stop because they're not looking at the emotion that's tied to those aches.
Yeah. They don't, we've all learned to suppress emotions because you're not supposed to look at them.
Well, and we live in such a fast-paced world where we want instant healing. A little pain pops up and we just pop a pill in. We're so used to just like quick go, give me the next pill, give me the next this. We don't just step back and just listen. We don't do that anymore. It's forgotten almost.
Yeah. It's not taught.
It's not taught. No.
That's Emotional health is coming back. Spiritual health is here.
It's making a comeback.
It's a big part of us.
So I have to tell you, I took a cold shower this morning as part of like my wake up plan, because I heard some really good benefits about. So back on the topic with caffeine, it is a way to wake up. And I actually, now that I think about it, I did not have coffee this morning because I thought I was going to have it at lunch or at breakfast. But I did take a super, super cold shower. So after I took a shower, I flipped it over to cold and I stood in there for 2 minutes and I was frigid and freezing, but I woke up I got out of there and I was alive. I was awake. It was so awesome. I just heard some like good benefits of just doing like cold, there's like a bunch of
the cold plunge. What's that?
Biofreeze.
Biofreeze, Cryotherapy.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I heard.
Yeah, cold showers. How about that, guys? Don't drink coffee, but take a nice cold
That will connect you with your body for sure. Because you're like, what is happening? I'm used to
hyper aware.
I was so cold.
So I know, Adrian, you've been connecting with your body a lot more recently.
I love my body. I am... body was never, I was trying to think. I was wondering if my mom would walk around naked or not. I think she was like free to show her boobs around. Like, I don't think she was embarrassed of her body, but I didn't see the full blown nudity. And I walk around nude with Grace, my daughter, and I'm just like, want to be an example of just,
there ain't no shame
it is
in
what
this
it
game.
is.
There's
like
no shame in this game.
And not to say that it didn't come with like work. I know, in high school, you just are thinking these horrible things about yourself and you look at the mirror and you just are comparing and contrasting and want this, want that. But now it is just like, let it be. And to be that example, I think is what's important to me, and how I show my connectivity to my body with, confidence and strength.
Yes. And that's beautiful because you didn't always have that.
No.
Like as your friend, like like it was
No.
like there was this battle with your body.
Totally.
And now you're like at a place where it's like you've essentially detached from the insecurities and you like reattach to this new side of you that's like your running regimen and you're like, yes, super accepting and super just like, I don't know, it's like a wonderful part of your journey that I don't know if I've told you how much I've acknowledged it, but like even like you're going to be running a marathon, you're going to be doing like all these different things, all these wonderful things. No, it is interesting with when we talk about the body, because having a son too, it's like I still do walk around naked. He makes fun of my thongs, which is really funny. He's talked about the string to his teacher before, which I was like, oh no. But he brought it up to his teacher. I was like, oh man, okay. But he is I don't know. I'm like, what age, like I don't want anyone to feel ashamed of their body or the nakedness or the beauty of the feminine or the masculine. And he walks around and he will hide his pee-pee. Like he will walk around and be like, out of like I don't know where it comes from, but it's something that we have like built into us. Right. And as I've been learning about, like I work with energy coaches to understand where my chakras are blocked and understand like, what's going on. And some of my recent work that I've been doing is understanding more about sex and like, why is sex like not talked about as much? Why are we not walking around naked as much? Like, why are, so it's like, I've had an awareness of how much like I'm very like I feel like I'm a sexual person and I'm confident and I have all these things, but whenever I actually looked at it, there's things from childhood that like not only my sexual trauma, but also my like growing up with brothers, having my first period, like growing boobs for the first time. Like I had a brother who hid all my underwear because they were thongs at one point. Like so it was like shame, like it was like a natural shaming of my body, of me as a woman, of me as like, don't wear bras, don't wear panties, don't wear, like
hide yourself.
I think my boobs were called Tic Tacs. My brothers would just like talk about my Tic Tacs of them growing. And I didn't realize how much subconsciously all of that played into when I started looking at my sexuality and how much of it, like I know I'm a sexual person, but I suppressed myself to a certain point and I didn't really know where that came from until I started realizing, why am I having this, like, what's this thing with my body? And then I started looking even around me of being like, okay, wow, our society even hides the idea of sex. Like okay, there's plenty of porn out there and it's there, but is that realistic? Like, is that's a realistic, like, if, and we also, when we talk about sex, like in my high school, it was the fear of sex. Yeah. It was, if you had sex, you'd get pregnant. It was all about STDs. It was like, abstain from sex. And so all of my cultural beliefs about sex and my body have been like, shame, shame, shame. Don't do it. Don't do it. If you do, there's consequences. If you do, there's fear. In my hometown, you either got pregnant, you got on drugs, or you like played sports. So it was like, okay, well, I'm definitely not going to have sex then. I'll try a couple of these things, but I'm also going to maintain my sports stuff. Yeah. So, but it's interesting to the body. Like, I think we kind of got in the conversation about the connection with body, mind, body, and spirit, and having that awareness of everything. So, and that is also attaching and detaching to the things that keep coming up for us and keep like that you just keep understanding about yourselves, and not only yourself, but like our society and how much programming we have just from insane. Our cultures, from our society, from mainstream media. Like, I think everyone right now is going through this. We hear about being woke or awakened or whatever that is. It really, like, honestly, it's like self-awareness is really what it is. So if we're all becoming self-aware and we can all help each other become more self-aware, and like, that's I feel like that is the specialty. Like, that's what I'm bringing to the world, is understanding, helping other people to understand their own self-awareness. So as a self-awareness consultant, every time I talk to someone or have this like conversation, it's like, well, tell me about you. Yeah. Like, where does that come from? What are those attachments that you have that maybe you're not aware of, that you would like to unattach from and maybe reprogram? Yep. Like, if you're aware of it, then you can look at it, what did you say? Look at it, let it go, grow, or I
Yeah,
don't know. You had like
surrender.
so,
Yeah, whatever it was.
but you got to look at it first, so that way you
Yeah.
can look at it, and then if you don't like it, then you can change it to something different. But you can't change energy if you don't look at it.
If
Energy
you don't
doesn't
look and
energy doesn't go away.
aware.
You can, but you can redistribute it once you understand it.
We're
So
completely control. We're always in control, and we don't realize that.
That's our
We feel like the
power.
outer world is in control of us
that's what we've been taught to
yeah.
believe. But that ain't true.
Since we were
Yeah.
babies.
That ain't true.
And it's interesting because it's, there's the mind, body, spirit, or soul, and there's that fourth dimension of energy on each of those like levels. There's detachment, attachment to these
absolutely.
various different things, and that's the fluidity, and that's like the growth component. What do they say? You make diamonds out of pressure, and that conscious pressure where you look at something and decide what next, where do I want to take this, what energy do I want to put this on, what attachment do I have or detachment to my body do I have in this one topic. It's just layered. And I think that's also can be why patterns can show up, because it's that same attachment, but there's just different levels and layers.
Different ways you can look
and,
at it.
Yeah.
You have different filters.
Well,
that you
those
can see
layers
through.
too could also be karmic layers that you bring on from past lives or past experience that you just keep carrying, and it
Yeah.
comes over.
We're all
And
onions.
yeah, we're all onions.
And we're
Just
breaking
trying to find
karmic
ourselves.
patterns
Karmic patterns
all around
yeah.
us.
Yeah, they
Bring
keep
'em on,
repeating
karmic
themselves,
patterns.
and then eventually in this life or whatever life, you're like, oh, that's why I'm the way I am, or that's why I have this connection to this person, or I can't let go of this person.
Yeah.
I feel a very karmic attachment to my son, like extremely, and I know there's history with him.
For sure.
I'm trying to learn
Done
that
any
one.
past life stuff
Oh,
yet?
very past, yeah, very much past life. So, yeah,
We got to interview him.
yeah, oh yeah.
We'll get the kids in here.
He's a powerful little guy.
We got some powerful children that we
Yeah.
are not suppressing.
No,
So look out, world. Here we go. Well, one more thing. So I want to just ask this, and as we're going to start coming to a close here, but one thing I want to ask you too is like when you figure out that you're detaching from an attachment, how long does it take you to come around to that? Like, because I know it's different the way you do every single detachment, right? It's not like sometimes it can be like a quick turnaround. Sometimes it can take years, months, like forever, for people, you can get stuck in an attachment and then not even understand how to detach from it. But I guess that question is, how long when you're aware of something do you come back to it? Does that make sense?
yeah.
Like when you become aware of it, then like, what is your process? That would be a good question. Because I think that's what stemmed our first
Right.
breakfast conversation of like, what's your process of it? Like when you
yeah.
become aware of it, do you put it on the shelf and then you still stay maintained, right? In your
Yeah.
present moment.
Yeah.
And then you come back to it, or do you disengage from it altogether? And then if it comes up again, then you look at it, or like, what's your processes for attaching and detaching, would you say?
I think there's a level of attachments for me, different levels. The most difficult ones have taken years for me. Those are some that I wouldn't say still come up. I've learned to heal them, but they've come up less, and those did take years. Those are some pretty rooted family attachments that I've worked very hard to get through.
What kind of work?
So a lot of spiritual healing, a lot of coaching, Reiki energy. But what I realized was that I was looking outside of myself for the longest time. So when I was deep in these traumas, I was trying to find people to help me. I was going to coaches, healers, crystals, whatever was outside of me. And then that brought me to myself, my self-awareness. And that's when I started going within. When I started going within, I realized that the healing sped up. I realized that I was getting it way faster. So I started meditating on that specific person. And I saw it as what I was shown was like these cords that were attached to that person. And I cut the cord. And that's how I started with that visualization. I started taking all my future attachments and just visualizing it as a separate entity and just cutting that cord, sending it off, sending it with love, light, asking it what I needed to learn from that person, what they wanted to show me. And once I realized that the power was within me, that's when the real healing started for me. So my deep-rooted attachments did take years, like 2-3 years. My smaller attachments, I'd say that because of the big ones, I learned how to let go of the smaller ones way faster. So just through my own, and everybody can heal in their own way, but through my own meditation that I feel like I created and was shown with the cords and the cutting and the loving and the surrendering and the healing, that's what helped me.
So are you visual? You get visual?
Very visual.
Very
Extremely.
visual. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I ask for guidance, it's visual instantly.
Oh, that makes it easy.
Yeah.
See, I do, mine is words or lyrics,
Oh.
song lyrics.
Okay.
Like music touches me, which is, Adrienne, you're a music goddess. So lyrics come to me, writing, words, like if I can identify a word, and I use a lot of, I'll just do my auto writing and typing. And I, like even for today, I'm like, I have so many words out on here. So if I resonate with a word, words are important to me, but that's interesting. So you're the visual, you ask, and that's how you get it back.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Would you say that you're have you mastered your attachment to your family stuff? Would you say that you're unattached at this point, or do you feel like there's more clarity coming?
I'm unattached to all the old stuff.
So bring on the new.
So exactly, bring on the new. But now what I realize is that I don't get attached anymore. I get triggered. And when I get triggered, I can heal it real quick.
Yeah, because you're aware.
So it's not attached anymore. I'm not taking it on, but I'm like, why am I pissed off right now?
Yeah.
What is this?
love
What am I
that.
seeing?
Something's reflecting about
Something's
me
reflecting.
right now.
Why is she making me mad? Why is he making me mad? And then I just step back and I look at it, and then I realize, oh, this isn't mine. Or, okay, now I know why I'm mad. And then I just give myself that space to heal. I don't engage in it. I don't label it. I don't try to have conflict with that person. I just step back and let it just flow. And
I love that you've taken it like the way that you described taking it inward.
Yeah.
And then asking yourself, asking your higher self for help.
right.
Because that's your support system.
Right.
Like you have it all around you, but you also have it within you. Where
Right.
it's like, show me what it is that I'm learning right now. Just get to the point.
I know. I'm ready. Come on. I've done a lot of work.
Yeah,
Shelly.
you've seen me do a lot of work. I'm ready for this next one. Adrienne, what about you?
I love that, Maria. Like that, like even just saying that with you're like, I don't own that attachment. I don't take that attachment on. I acknowledge I'm triggered.
Right.
And it's like bring on, why am I triggered, and bring it on and detach or whatever. But in that same breath, like that is a true form of detachment, of just like saying, yeah, I'm triggered, but I'm not attached to that emotion or whatever. Like that is, that really hits somewhere for me. I like that.
It makes you feel some type of way. How do you, Adrienne, how do you feel like you communicate with your higher self? Like what's your process?
I think my process definitely develops, but certainly from Abraham Hicks. I mean, she's definitely helped me put concepts in place where it's that power of not focusing on what is, it's focusing on what is coming. Because if you're just focusing on here and what this moment is, I mean, that's already done. Like it's been established and created. Like what is coming that you already know is in your vortex. And that concept definitely plays out in my life with various relationships and various creations. It's that focus on what is coming, which can, help me with my detachment. It does help me with my detachment process.
For sure. That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Because you have an outcome. You already know. You already know that this is going to happen.
Exactly.
So all this bullshit
don't
mean
done.
anything.
I can't control it. I can't fix it. And I do believe I have a very sense of self in the present moment. And my moments, feel good. So, I mean, there's good things going and good things happening. Not to say that there's not situations that I feel triggered in.
So what do you do whenever you're triggered? What's your process?
You focus on what is coming. It is about not what is, it's about what is next, what is coming with that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And it may take a moment if it's super heavy, if it's super catabolic,
Mm-hmm.
then it may take me a moment to kind of sit in there and feel connected a bit to my emotions and then process that, let it go and grow. What is coming?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. See, because I love that your process of it, because again, mine goes into like, I trigger and I go to analyzing mode. Analyze. What did I feel? What did I feel? What was happening? Who was there? What was the topic? What was going on? I'll start writing about it. And then I'll start like that. So like, I love that we've even just, I love approaching this conversation with you girls, because I know that we do it all in such a different way. Visual, you're like outcome oriented, or there's like you already know what's going to happen. So let's move through this. Or let's figure out, like, you're patient with your growth. And for me, I'm like, okay, I know there's growth here. So what is it? And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm digging into it. So it's like over analyzing to a certain point where it's draining for me. So I can definitely see the different approaches that we all like, essentially when we trigger how do we, oh yay. Kind of, it's like fun after when you trigger at a certain point now, because you're like, oh,
I know.
what am I learning?
And we draw strengths and connections through these different experiences, and even just talking about it, just being able and vulnerable to talk about this is in itself, that next level of healing.
We should have naked podcasts next time.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's start with bras first. Bras and panties.
Bras and panties.
Are you uncomfortable with our body? What's happening here?
That's not a bad idea.
Bras, panties, and champagne.
Oh, Martin will be here.
Well, ladies, I certainly thank you so much. This has been wonderful. As for my first podcast, this is couldn't have been more perfect timing. I feel like when we talk about past lives, I've always had a connection and do have a connection. Maria, Adrian, Allie's here to support us over here in the background as well. So just having these I feel like we're here for a purpose, and I feel like we're here to have these conversations to help bring awareness, to help the community, to help our families, to help everyone. Not that they need help. I think help is like a phrase that no one's broken, because everyone's on their own journey. So it's unfolding for them as it is, but as bringing this consciousness and bringing this energy into
awareness.
Yes. Just bringing that to everyone is I want to get this out. I want to make sure that, this is our frequency. So I just appreciate both of you, and I appreciate the support that you've always had for me, because you've always heard about this vision that I've always wanted to have. And now I'm manifesting as we speak right now. So
we are so proud of you.
Thank you.
We are.
I love this. And we'll have definitely on next episodes. I don't know what's happening next, but I feel like I said, after this podcast, I'm sure I'll get more downloads as to what's coming next. But do you guys have anything closing that you want to close with? Otherwise, we can end it from here. Maria?
I just think we're all on this journey together, and we're helping each other grow and teach each other how powerful we are. So I love you,
Mirror,
girls.
my dear. Mirror,
Hell
my
yeah.
dear.
We're powerful bitches.
Yeah.
And that's that. On that note, that is a true reflection of the relationship that I think each one of us have with ourselves.
Yeah.
And that in itself is a journey. And for me, mirror, right?
Mirror.
It's been a journey. But in that, there's no destination. But it's a good, solid, powerful feeling to have a good, solid, powerful relationship with yourself.
Yes. Connecting with yourself.
Yes.
And then everything else will unfold as it needs to.
Thank
Well, my lovely ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This has been
We appreciate
wonderful.
you. And namaste.
Namaste.